Pint O Comics here on WESU. That's 88.1 FM on the dial, WESUFM.org. Little super friends for you. Just fixing my faders. It's always the way of it. All right, it's another Pint O Comics here. And as always, I've got a special guest. Tonight we're going to get a little gory. That's the way I want to do it anyway. I want to get really, really gory. And I think it's going to work out really well tonight with writer Peter Bune. Writer and well, filmmaker and many other things. Actor. Oh boy, God, there's just a long list of things that you are. So it's kind of cool. How you doing tonight, Peter?
Hey, John. Thanks for having me on the show.
Absolutely.
It's good to be here.
I'm banging my hot mic here. What are you gonna do? Oh, so Peter, we got you on tonight because we're gonna talk Deathgasm, and just saying the word alone is pretty rude at 6:30 on a Sunday night. But I kind of enjoy being a little rude.
It's kind of one of those things that I can't bring up to my parents, my Catholic parents, that I'm writing a thing called Deathgasm.
And can you even bring the movie over and say, "Hey, let's watch Deathgasm tonight"?
They don't know what I do.
No, they don't. All right, let's get a little into Deathgasm. Tell my fine listeners what Deathgasm is, and and then we'll go from there. Yeah, then we'll go from there. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, so Deathgasm is a 2015 New Zealand zombie horror comedy, and I mean that explains it all.
Yes,
it's from 2015. It's got like the New Zealand charm, the delightful charm of the accents and farmlands, but like it's pretty much about a bunch of slackers who start a band, and the band is called Deathgasm. And the main character, he's into metal. He's into metal. And he has to move to like a suburban town with his family, and he's an outsider. So he doesn't quite fit in. Finds a couple of other outsiders, a couple of nerds, Dungeons and Dragons playing nerds.
Yeah.
That he finds his friends. And then they start a metal band, heavy metal. So they start a band. And they name it Deathgasm. So what happens when it really starts getting good is they stumble upon sheet music, which is called the Black Hymn. And they're like, oh, it's, let's try to play it. So once they play the sheet music, they open up hell pretty much, and demons come pouring out, and they pretty much have to battle demons to save their small town of Grey Point. And there's also they're fighting over a girl named Adina.
Of course.
So like the two best friends who wear, well, maybe your listeners have seen the viral meme of the metal kid wearing corpse paint, who's eating ice cream on a bench with a pretty blonde girl. And then it's like, my taste in music, also my taste in music. That's Deathgasm. If people have probably seen that more than they've seen the movie.
That's funny. That's funny. I didn't even think of that. Yeah.
But that's pretty much, I don't want to spoil anything, but that's pretty much Deathgasm in a nutshell.
Yeah, the movie is very irreverent. It's very funny. It's surprisingly well acted. I was amazed by how good they were. Yeah.
Well, the actors, they're from the Power Rangers universe.
Is that right?
Yeah, the main actor, Milo Cawthorn, and the girl who plays Medina, Kimberly Crossman, they're from Power Rangers.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't know that because I'm not a Power Rangers guy.
You're not a Power Rangers guy?
I'm not. The only one I ever watched was no. I did see the original, and I just didn't click with it. It was over my head. But I did watch one of the more serious ones. It was like Power Rangers in Space or something like that. And well, at the time, however old I was like, wow, that yellow Ranger's really cute.
That's what got like a lot of when you're a teenager and you're transitioning from Saturday morning cartoons to live action stuff. You're watching like Saved by the Bell, and you're getting a crush on like Tiffany Amber Thiessen or the Yellow Power Ranger.
Yeah.
You never know. You never know will trigger something in your.
It's just very weird, I know. But there's so many Power Ranger shows too, and there's so many.
Too many.
Yeah, so I mean, even if you were to tell me that this person was in one of the shows I ever watched, I probably wouldn't even know because there's just so many characters and so many actors. It's just
same, dude, same.
Yeah.
But just because I work in the Deathgasm universe, that's, and they're back. They're back for Deathgasm 2, Goremageddon. So
do we have an idea when the release date is on that, or is that still
to the U.S.? It's looking like fall of this year. Yeah,
okay.
It's shot. It's being edited. It's in post-production.
Oh, sweet.
It was also crowdfunded a year or two ago.
Really? Okay.
That was a crowdfunding. That was a Kickstarter campaign.
Okay.
That was successful. And yeah, Jason Lei Howden, the creator of Deathgasm, he's back. He's back at it. And so are the Deathgasm kids, who are now 10 years older.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the fun thing. So again, I mean, you're writing or have written, I should say, the Deathgasm 1.5 director's cut bridge between the two movies, this graphic novel that's going to be coming out at some point in the near future. And it's
done.
It's done. It's done. Okay. And I want to say this. I mean, I got to see it and read it, and it's well drawn. It's an amazing piece of work. It's definitely right along the lines of the movie itself. It's very gory and very irreverent and very fun. And it's just choked with so much metal stuff, It's just
so much metal, so much gore.
Yeah.
Very splattery. A lot of splattery blood, but it's a comedy. It's funny. It's in the vein of like 80s and 90s splatter comedies, horror comedies like Dead Alive or Evil Dead 2.
Yeah, I would put it in the realm of Evil Dead 2. But it's even more funny. I mean, there's lines in the movie, at least I was laugh out loud, just and it was late at night. I'm sure my roommate was killing me, but like pound on the wall, shut up, it's late.
And there's also, I mean, there's a lot of the New Zealand or the Kiwi charm.
Yeah.
That was the thing with Jason. He had to, I don't know a lot about the New Zealand culture. I'm a Long Island guy. I'm a New Yorker from Queens, living in Queens now in the city. And so my sense of humor is very American and Long Island. And so Jason had to interject, his references, his local references, his humor.
In the book?
Like that.
In the book?
In the book.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I requested that.
Yeah.
Like, can you look at what I wrote and just make it more Kiwi? He's like, no problem, mate. I'm like, see, I don't say mate. You're guys that have to say mate. We say man.
I did see at least one notation in there that was like, hey, this is a New Zealand thing. It was like an editor's note, which I thought was funny as hell too. I mean, it gives you that, by the way, you're reading a book here and we want you to know it. I like that.
Right.
It's.
Well, I mean, for example, they instead of McDonald's, they say Macca's.
Yeah.
Let's go pick up some Macca's. And I'm like, cool.
Yeah.
And they're like, it's cool. They don't like, you don't have to like look it up or anything, or it'll make you look up and learn more about the New Zealand culture and the ways of the other side of the world.
Yeah. Right? Way, way, way down there all by themselves. It's kind of fun though. I mean, this whole gory comedy metal thing, it seems to be more, it's like a subculture all in itself, because I've been discovering more and more of it over the last couple of years as this show branches out and looks at
and you don't really have to be a metal guy,
right,
to enjoy the movie or enjoy the book. You don't have to be, I mean, zombies have been cool for the last 15 years, right?
Pretty much.
This is also part of the zombie, like Shaun of the Dead. Shaun of the Dead's one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
And it's more like that. It's more in the vein of like a Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah.
Totally. Except metal dudes are the heroes, which is, I mean, Bill and Ted. Imagine Bill and Ted fighting zombies, right?
Pretty much. Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
And there's scenes in there, particularly in the movie. I mean, I won't say so much about the book because we don't want to give away too much. But in the movie, at least, there's scenes in there that are like when I say irreverent, it's more there's naughty scenes because of the things that are happening, or the the weaponry that might be used.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Well, that comes back in the book.
Yes.
You have to have in any zombie movie, you have to have improvised weapons. You got to work with what you got, and
Exactly.
yeah, these guys, they work with what they find.
Yeah. Yeah, they really.
These aren't your normal zombie fighting heroes. They're like accidental heroes.
And it's not that they're normal zombies either. It's a little bit more involved, which is kind of cool too. There's a bigger story there. It's not that big of a stretch. It's kind of a trope. You've got your metal kids that bring out the evil.
Satanic Panic. Right?
Yeah.
Satanic Panic in the 80s.
Yeah.
Where, especially like growing up in Long Island, there was a story about Ricky Casso, and it's like about how he murdered a friend in the name of Satan in Northport, Long Island, which is like where I'm from. And there's that song, Teenage Dirtbag, which is about that.
Yeah.
And that, the whole 80s Satanic Panic thing. There's also like, also like if you haven't seen Deathgasm, it's on Peacock. It's available on Peacock.
Is it really? Okay.
Along with the TV series Satanic Panic, starring Bruce Campbell. So if you want a whole education on this genre, head over to Peacock. Check out the TV series Satanic Panic, which is about 80s metal kids and the fear of the influence of music on our American children.
I know, music started in the 50s.
Confounded. It wasn't really like a thing. It was just an excuse, right?
Pretty much. I mean, if you really look at it these days, you could look at the history, look at the stuff that Tipper Gore was doing at the time. Let's put the labels on all the music so we know what's an adult or what's for kids. It's like, really? And then you got
right. That was she was the one who like put all the stickers on the CDs.
Yep, and then you got weird bedfellows fighting her. It was John Denver and Frank Zappa.
Right. Not that PMRC, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where that's where the origin of all of this stuff is.
Yeah, and what's fun, I mean, just the movie itself gives you a little bit of that, especially with the main character and having to move in with
his Catholic family.
Yeah.
Like a strict Catholic aunt and uncle and jock cousin. Yeah. So
yeah. It's a lot of fun tropes. I mean, even the D&D kid. It's because I'm a big D&D player, so I mean, it was fun to see him in there. But he is your, like it's just a broad-based D&D player. And again, when you're saying the improvised weapons, some of the ones that he brings up in the movie, so hysterically funny.
And like I had to bring that back for the comic book.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff I grew up in a strict Filipino Catholic house. Not strict. My parents were cool, but that also educated me on the church, and I put a lot of that into the book.
Yeah.
References to the church, which is what the kids, when they go back to Grade Point after being on tour for years, they have to battle kind of like that type of people, those type of people who are burning records.
Yep.
That's pretty much what like book 2 is about.
What's great about the book too, and I won't give anything away here, but there's a nice big exposition.
We could give a little bit away because we want people to pick it up.
Yeah, well, so there's a nice exposition. Oh boy, I'm gonna stumble over my words on expositionary opening. There's a recap of the movie.
Right. So if you've never seen the movie, there's a 4-page recap of the movie.
Yeah.
So you'll fall right into the storyline and the characters right away.
Exactly. And it's nice because there has been some distance between the movie. It was 2015, so we're looking at a few years here. And anyone that might not have seen it recently could easily pick up with the book. Or if you hadn't seen it, you could pick up with the book and then go watch the movie and have a good time with it too. But it's just something you don't get a lot of these days in comics, and it was a nice throwback for an old time reader like me, seeing all that. Recap
that was Bitbot Media's idea.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So the distributors, Bitbot Media, Josh Viola, and it was their idea to kind of do that, because when I initially wrote the 3-issue arc, it wasn't in there.
Yeah.
So about 2 years ago, the first issue was released by another company.
Okay.
And it kind of died there, but then Bitbot Media rescued it, and it gave me and Jason an opportunity to kind of like rewrite it or add more to it, including the recap, which was a great idea by Bitbot Media. And we were able to get a few cameos into the book because of Bitbot Media. So Josh Viola wrote a book called True Believers, which is also a great comic with a lot of references to slasher movies, and has features a cameo from Deathgasm and a lot of other movies. Okay. So just being that the movie is from New Zealand, probably the biggest New Zealand export is What We Do in the Shadows, right? Taika Waititi and Jermaine Clement.
Yeah.
So those vampires make a cameo in the opening scene of the book of Deathgasm 1.5.
It's just nuts that you're able to do that kind of stuff. It's fun. It's just nuts.
Yeah, dude, it was a dream come true. You know, it's from Jermaine Clement. I love that movie. I love that show.
Yeah.
The show has them on Staten, and living in Staten Island. That's hysterical. But the movie is one of the great mockumentary vampire, probably the only vampire mockumentary in existence.
Probably, and when the show came out, not to get too far away from the source material, but when the show came out, I didn't expect it to be as good as the movie, and I enjoyed the movie. But I thought the show surpassed the movie. I thought it was much, much better.
As it should be. If you're evolving and continuing a story, it should be better than the original.
And I didn't know initially that it was going to be like part of this own world. That everything would be part of the same story until late. It was pretty early in the first season when you figured that out, and it was like, oh, that is really cool. That's a great idea. Didn't even consider that they would do something like that.
Yeah, because it was it was a new set of vampires, right? But you then later on in the series, Jermaine and Taika and Deacon, right? They come in and they show up in an with Blade, right?
Yep.
There's an even bigger vampire world. That show's brilliant.
Yeah, it really was good, and it was just so much fun. I mean, oh God, I've got the entire Matt Berry collection here, and
oh my God, he's a genius.
He really is. I would have worn it tonight too, but I wore it last week. It was my Jackie Daytona shirt. So.
So good.
But that's great that you can get this kind of stuff into the book, just to, even if it's just for one scene, that sort of thing. Yeah. It's just a lot of fun. I mean, when you're having fun with the material that you're already doing, which is, like I said, I mean, this movie is gore and comedy and metal and everything all wrapped up together. The gore is just ridiculously funny. There's just like splatter effects that are really played up for laughs.
Absolutely, because so Jason Howden comes from the world of visual effects.
Okay,
he's a visual effects guy. WESU, which is like Peter Jackson's company.
Yeah,
he works with Peter Jackson, another New Zealand icon, Lord of the Rings, right?
Yeah.
But before Lord of the Rings, he was doing micro budget horror movies like Bad Taste.
The Bad Taste,
and,
which
Meet the Feebles.
No.
I don't know if anyone's ever heard that deep cut. But
here
a rough one.
At this station, many people have heard of and or seen Meet the Feebles.
No way. So Peter Jackson is a legend. He's an icon.
He's definitely that.
So that's where Jason's coming from. He's coming from that, and those are his influences. In fact, when I met Jason, he was a guest on my podcast a few years ago.
Okay.
Where he was promoting another movie of his called Guns Akimbo, which stars Daniel Radcliffe and Samara Weaving.
Okay.
And that's another outstanding, fun film from like the video game world.
Yeah. Okay.
So he's promoting Guns Akimbo, and we totally hit it off. Like, we knew that we were like from the same, even though he's on the other side of the world, we both grew up with, you know, video store, horror movie section, you know, childhood, right?
Right.
Same VHS collection that we had, splatter gore, horror comedies. You know, we shared the same stories of, you know, going into a video store, going to a Blockbuster and seeing the cover of Evil Dead 2. And like, I was a kid going, there's no way I'm going to watch that movie. That cover looks too scary. Or like, Dead Alive, which has like do you remember that's like the face being stretched out, and then there's like a face coming out of, that's another that's my favorite Peter Jackson classic. But like, once I was a little bit older and me and my friends were watching those movies, we were like, damn, that's you know, we found our people, right? So years later, met Jason Howden, and he was like, hey, I found my people in America. But yeah, we just, you know, connected on doing the podcast, and been following each other on Instagram, and then the pandemic happened. So like, when the pandemic happened, right, people were starting their other, you know, people were starting side projects that they could do from home. Yeah. Right. Whether it was like knitting or cooking. For me, it was getting into comics. Okay. Because I was from like the micro budget filmmaking world, DIY, punk rock filmmaking. And I was like, there's no money, there's no crew to get together in a pandemic. Yeah. So the next step was like comics, because like with comics, you're just doing a shot list and storyboards, right? You're sending the art to an artist, and it's like, you know, I did that with storyboards. Sure. You write a script, you're like, you're making a shot list, right? And your artist is pretty much your DP, your cameraman. That's how I looked at it. And Jason saw that. He saw some of the work I was doing with a title called Squatch Watch, which it's funny because my second book is going to come out before my first book probably. So, but Jason saw it and he was like, oh man, I always wish I could do like a bridge comic for Deathgasm to Deathgasm 2. I'm like, well, why don't you do it? Yeah. Right. And he's like, well, I don't know how to do it. I'm like, well, let's just do it. And we were talking about it, and it's you know, technology is great because like we're talking right now. You're in Connecticut, I'm in Queens. So it's like we would just Zoom each other, or we would just send each other messages through Facebook. And what I did was I commissioned my Squatch Watch artist, Industrious Lamanacana, who's from Argentina. Okay. This is how worldwide this project is. Huh. So I go to his name is Christian, but like he's punk rock, so he goes by Industrious Lamanacana. So Christian, awesome. So I commissioned Lamanacana to, I was like, make me the Deathgasm versus the Bad Taste Aliens. So a week later, get a piece of artwork, and I'm like, check it out, Jason. This is what it could look like. All colored, all lettered, splatter. It's the Deathgasm band fighting the aliens from Peter Jackson's Bad Taste. And that's when, like, sometimes it takes like something tangible for you to realize that things could be done. Yeah. So that you have to make the initiative. So Jason's like, I'm gonna send this to Peter. So it was our dream. Initially Jason and I were gonna release it independently. Our idea was to get it to Peter Jackson, and have like just to get the permission to use the Bad Taste aliens. Oh yeah, right. But Peter's a busy guy. He's making Beatles documentaries. So I don't know, he's making another Lord of the Rings. I don't know what he's doing. Yeah. But he never got back to Jason, so we were just like, let's just do it ourselves. But luckily, Bitbot Media rescued the project, and we I don't know, there's a reference to Peter Jackson's Bad Taste, but they, you know, we do the joke of like, but these really aren't the aliens from Peter Jackson's Bad Taste, because we don't want to get sued. So Lamanacana drew his own original version of the aliens. But we referenced like the city that movie takes place Kaihiro in New Zealand. So there's a lot of references, and yeah, man, it's a lot of fun. And I was totally lucky that Jason included me in this whole thing.
That's pretty cool, though. I mean, it's a lot of deep diving into things that if you're not aware of, it's fun to research them or just figure it out. Figure out what people are talking about. But if you do know about it, it's even cooler.
Yeah, I mean, that's the kind of like film fan I am.
Yeah,
I'm always watching a movie with like the IMDb app next to me. Where do I know that actor from?
Yeah, I know that feeling.
What else has this director made?
Yeah,
I'm that guy looking up the trivia section of IMDb constantly.
Yeah. That's fun. It's always fun.
Yeah,
but that's cool. I loved how everything kind of came about. And again, it seems to be like this is something that a lot of publishers are getting into, these kind of connective tissue to movies. I know Warner Brothers likes to do it with a lot of their DC characters, or Star Trek has done that a few times, at least expanding on the story, which isn't always, it doesn't always work, No. But what I like about this one, and I've read a few that are similar to this, but this one I think has done it the best way yet. It's an original story. It gives you all the information you want from what's already happened, and then launches you off into where the next movie is gonna.
Sure, because I was lucky that Jason had already written an outline for the comic.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, "We're gonna do 3 issues," or I was like, "We could shape this into like 3 issues."
Yeah.
But then he also like gave me an outline of Goremageddon, just to make sure that it kind of. I'm hoping it connects because, like, I got to see like behind the scenes like Polaroids and stuff, and so yeah, it looks pretty wild. It looks sicker and wilder than the first movie, and probably even sicker and wilder than the comic book. But Jason's a crazy dude, man. He seems he's like really like kind of soft spoken and polite New Zealand guy, but like his creations are far out.
I will say that I did see a scene either this morning or last night, and it was either on that thing called Twitter or whatever the hell it's called now, or one of those social media sites. And it was a scene. It was somebody shooting blood into the face of the actress that plays Medina, and it was. She's just standing there waiting for the guy to hit the plunger, and it just like explodes into her chin, and it just covers the lower half of her face, and then she's just smiling away. I'm like, you gotta love actors that are willing to get that kind of mucky, because, like I said, I mean, the Deathgasm is a really gory movie, and there's a lot of stuff being thrown around, and people get covered in it, and it's fun to see at least a woman that's willing to do it, because you don't see that a lot too often. It's
you're lucky when you have actors that are game.
Yeah,
and it's like the thing with Deathgasm. So yeah, I worked in like micro budget horror comedies back in the day. I did a show called The Gooligans, which was pretty much the Monsters meets the Monkeys, and but that was made for nothing. So when you have those type of actors, those character actors that will do a higher budgeted movie, or the next tier, and they're still making their movies the same way.
Yeah.
Like, how cool is that?
It's awesome.
How cool is that?
That's
and
really
the filmmakers still making their movies the same way that they were when they didn't have any money.
Yeah. You gotta love it. All right, we have to take a quick break here, unfortunately. That's how it goes when we're having a good conversation, and I gotta look at the clock and go, oh, I gotta take a break. But what are you gonna do? It is the way of it. But this is WESU. This is Pint O Comics on WESU, and that would be 88.1 FM on the dial, WESUFM.org. That's streamed internationally. If you're listening on the radio apps, thank you very much. I appreciate that. My guest tonight is Peter Bune, who is, well, just like, you're just carrying so much. It's just so much. But the writer of Deathgasm, should I say co-writer or should I just say writer?
Co-writer.
Co-writer?
Co-writer, yeah.
Deathgasm.
Jason's props.
Yeah. Deathgasm 1.5, and that's the director's cut, and the bridge story between the Deathgasm movie that came out in 2015 and the upcoming Deathgasm 2, Goremageddon, which is a great subtitle. But stick with us here at WESU. I got a few public service announcements to play, and maybe something else, and then we'll jump right back into the conversation. And let's hope this works. All right, this is WESU. This is Sir John hosting Pint O Comics. That's the show you're listening to presently. And as soon as I hit the right button here, that would be you. That's for you, Peter Bune, my guest tonight, the fine writer of Deathgasm 1.5.
That's me.
That's you. Amongst many other things that we've been talking about. And this thing is just making so much noise. This is a creaky old station, and
Love it.
It's just crazy. You get all of it. I know. I need like a second person here to move things around when I'm not,
Classic. It's classic.
Yeah, it's classic.
Classic radio.
Yeah. So yeah, WESU is the 85 years old. We're moving into 86 years old this year. Yeah, and student run for the longest time, and then it's quite the history here at this lovely radio station.
That's awesome.
Yeah, sometimes it feels it, but creaking away. All right, let's talk some more Deathgasm here, and we'll talk. Let me just bring this up now because I will forget, and I don't want to forget. And reading the story, and yes, I got to read it, and it was really good. It's rare to talk about the colorist because you kind of gloss over that the colorist is an artist in itself. But in a book like this, where the gore is, multicolored and multifaceted, plus all the other things that are going on, it's a lot of work with a lot of detail because your artist throws a lot of detail in there. And it was really cool the way it was handled. So I got to give props to your colorist.
Yeah, so a thing with the artist, Industrious Lamanacana, sometimes he's overly detailed.
Yeah.
To the detriment of the editors were like, this is taking too long. Sorry guys, I have to give a little backstory to it. But yeah, gotta give a shout out to Zach Atkinson, the colorist.
Yeah.
The book is very technicolored. It's very as much as Lamanacana gave detail to the art, he gave detail to the color. He gave a lot of he makes the art pop. And Zach Atkinson did Farscape.
Oh.
Then he did Star Trek. Those are some titles that he's worked on.
I thought I'd recognize his name, but I read the Farscape comic, which was one of my favorites because it was a really good continuation of the show.
It kind of looks like watercolors, right? Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes it's very detailed. It's just like I said. I mean, with gore, there's a lot of different things going on. So with all the parts that are flying around, the difference in the colors really helps to determine what you're looking at to make it even more gross in some ways, which is
sometimes I feel like the words that I write are in the way, and that the book would be better if there was no dialogue, so I could just look at how awesome the art is. But then I would be taking away the job of. Also, another shout out to letterer Jeremiah Lambert.
Yeah,
and Jeremiah, he's worked on Masters of the Universe comic and Transformers.
Very nice.
And I always say that, just going back to the film or making metaphor, colorists are like, they're like lighting, right?
Yeah.
Colorist is, and letterers, it's sound. You're reading a comic book, you have to read sound, and it's a little flat if you have if your letterer is not good, it feels flat.
Yeah.
But a really good letterer can make the art also pop. So it's like you have a lot of department heads in film. Your art team is pretty much like your department heads.
Yeah, and when you have a book like this, there's so much going on. I mean, as opposed to an original story where you're just trying to get the people involved in what you're writing and get everything in the book out there, this almost feels like you're carrying a heavier burden because you have to carry the characters that have already been established by the actors, plus the feel of the movie that's already been out there. It's a lot of work. I wonder.
It is. Sure. Of course it is, because it's not my creation.
Right.
It's Jason Howden's characters. It's Jason. It's like he also based it a lot of it on his life, right?
Sure.
So when it is a burden, sure, but when you're a fan of the source material, then it's like a privilege.
Yeah.
right? So I got lucky. I was a fan first, and also working with Jason to make sure that I was in the, staying within the lines of his creation.
How is that? I mean, did you ever feel there was a point where you broke past it and he was slapping your hands like, no, can't do that yet?
You know what? Never.
Okay.
Never. He was always like, just do you.
Okay.
Just do your thing. And if you have a question, I'm always available. That's the best kind of collaborator, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, one of the stupid questions I had was like, do you say gasoline or petroleum? And he's like, petroleum, bud. We say petroleum. No, they say petrol.
Petrol.
We say petro, mate.
Yeah.
So it was little silly things like that. I'm like, do you say gasoline like in the Mad Max movies? He's like, no, that's Australia. Those are Mad Max.
Yeah, right.
Actually, is Mad Max New Zealand? I'm not George Miller. I'm not sure.
Oh, him personally, I don't know, but it is Australian. It's funny how like when you think about it, the accent is similar. The two of them.
Mm-hmm.
The distance between them is quite large. It's larger than you realize.
And also like, if you said that to an actual Kiwi,
yeah, no, they would.
They take offense to that.
Yeah. And that's what's funny about it. It's like we see something one way, and then they're like, no, we're completely different. And boy, they're so independent too. The New Zealanders. It's just they're ridiculously independent, and I love it. I love the fact that they're like that because who wouldn't be?
They have this like island charm to them, and like this kind of aw shucks kind of, right? But they're kind of sick. They're kind of sick in the head.
Yes.
Look at the stuff that they're sending over to the U.S.
Yeah.
Look at the stuff that we're getting from Peter Jackson and Taika Waititi.
I'll put it to you. This show is almost 8 years old, and I don't think anyone has ever brought Meet the Feebles up on it because I really really dislike it.
That's one of the movies back in the day where like you meet someone, like when you like try to like befriend someone,
Mm-hmm.
and if they left a screening at like I would have a movie party.
Yep.
And if you're into like that movie at my movie party, then we could hang. But if you're messed up, then sorry.
I could not stand that movie. I don't know. And
for your listeners, it's like a messed up Muppets.
Yeah, that's
It's a messed up Muppet movie.
Let's put it this way. So the Happy Land Murders at the Henson movie that came out a few years ago with Melissa McCarthy. If you saw that, it's nothing like that. It's like it's much worse.
Yeah, it's a lot of not just splatter blood.
Yeah,
it's splatter
stuff,
bodily
fluids.
Yes.
Yeah, good dinner time conversation here.
I mean, but it's like coming out of like Kermit.
Yeah.
Or it's a rabbit, right? Meet the Feebles as a rabbit.
Oh, I don't remember anymore.
And a giant hippo lady. That was like their Miss Piggy.
Was it a hippo? Wasn't there an octopus too? I don't. It's been a long time.
There was a disgusting fly. That was like a paparazzi. Yeah, man. Peter Jackson, what are you into?
Yeah,
this is the same guy who made Lord of the Rings,
right?
Like King Kong.
It's funny too. You look at some of those early films that he did, and they're just way off the rails. And then you somehow he jumped from that to The Frighteners, which was an extremely good movie.
I love that movie.
Yeah.
That's Frighteners is one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, it's one of the best roles that. Oh boy,
Michael J. Fox.
Well, him too, but Jeffrey Combs.
Oh yeah,
I love Jeffrey Combs pretty much in everything, and it's so rare he gets to play a good guy, and in this movie he's kind of straddling the line, which is kind of fun.
Yeah,
it's a great movie.
Jake Busey is a serial killer.
He did like back-to-back movies of him being creepy, weird, and crazy, and he was really good at it for a while. And then he did Starship Troopers, which changed everything. So
I love Starship Troopers. I hear they're making another one.
Yeah, we'll see if it's going to be any more.
I've only seen like the first one. I know they've made like, cheaper sequels and video games, but the first one's the only one that I've seen.
Yeah, the knockoff, or I don't want to call them knockoffs. The sequels that they did, they were direct to video.
Yeah.
You know, they're really low budget, and then they use really bad computer graphics, and it just it doesn't hold up. And yeah, they're not great stories, and they're trying to follow what Verhoeven did too, which is another thing. It's like it's different. Anyway, Pint O Comics, where we get off into the weeds here and talk about everything. All right, so what do we know about Deathgasm 1.5? Do we know relatively when we're going to see this thing get crowdfunded?
So right now you could go to Bitbot Media's Kickstarter.
Okay.
They just completed one of the most successful Kickstarters of all time regarding comics, which is like the Soul Reaver, Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver. They raised I think $3 million or something.
Are you kidding me? I missed that.
Yeah. So Bitbot raised funds for the graphic novel adaptation of the 1999 video game Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver. So just look up Bitbot Media on Kickstarter, and you'll see that you could sign up for the Deathgasm 1.5 Director's Cut graphic novel Kickstarter, and you'll get an email. You'll get notifications once the Kickstarter starts. So sign up now so that you'll get
your information.
The call to action. But yeah, once it starts, backers can get the hardcover and softcover editions of the book. A lot of cool extras and rewards like original art, merch, shirts, signed art prints. But the coolest thing is this high-end latex mask of the characters from the movie. The demon is called Aloth, the blind one, and that's the coolest mask. It's yeah, they are sick looking. So you go onto the Kickstarter and you can get Zach, you can get Brody, and you get Aloth mask.
I laugh. I shouldn't laugh. I mean, but it's cool stuff, if you're really into this kind of thing, yeah. And if it's good, then that's cool. But Aloth is one of the strangest.
Well, you're laughing because you know what we did to him, demon, in the book.
Yeah, that
you know what happens to him in the book.
Between the movie and the book and everything else, it's just like, oh boy, this poor guy. He's just he's one of the most incompetent villain demons or whatever. I mean,
it's when the heroes are incompetent and the villains are incompetent. Which makes it really, really charming
and funny. Honestly, it's really funny. I mean, I don't want to give it away. There's a simple scene in the movie with the main follower of Aloth that had me in stitches, and it has to do with a guy that fails, so he has him eliminated. That's all I'm gonna say, because it was just ridiculous, and that's when I realized this movie is really gonna tickle my fancy, because even though I was already laughing at some of the stuff that was in it and the ridiculousness, I didn't know how far ridiculous it was gonna go, and then that scene happened, and I'm like, okay, I'm in, and I'm in with both feet.
And I know exactly what scene you're talking about, and everyone's acting like it was an inconvenience.
Yeah. And it gets even crazier because of what happens to that guy later in the movie.
Oh yeah,
it's just so much. There's a lot of twists and turns in the movie that really bend the basic plot of these kind of films, which makes it that much more entertaining. And that's why when you get to the graphic novel, it just there's so much more going on, and there's a lot of things in the graphic novel you can do that maybe you can't do with a film on a small budget. So, such as aliens blowing up and things like that.
Yeah. Or I don't know. Yeah, it's pretty risque, but one of the cool things. One of the cool things that I liked having to do, getting to do the book was, the Medina character in the movie, she's just kind of like the girl that the guys are fighting over.
Yeah.
But then near the end of the movie, she joins the battle,
right? And
she's probably the best fighter out of all of them.
Yeah.
So by the time the book happens, she's pretty much the front woman of Deathgasm.
Yeah.
like the new version of the band. She's leading the band, and she's the most efficient fighter, and she's the most competent one.
Yeah.
So she's leading the way. And like a cool thing that they do, or like Jason came up with, is that her microphone turns into a sword. Brody's like guitar turns into like a crossbow, stuff like that.
Yeah, fun stuff.
That was a cool thing. Yeah.
I really, there's a scene in the movie, and I'll give this one away, where Medina discovers metal music, and there's that whole fantasy scene, and it's so perfect. It's so explanatory for the music. It's so explanatory for what's going to happen in the movie itself. It's almost a foreshadowing to a certain degree, and the fact that she becomes who she is in the graphic novel. Just I'm really excited to see what happens with the next movie, because
Me too.
of what you've laid out here.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of surprises in the graphic novel. There was a surprise return of one character, and I'm not going to give that away. And
don't give that.
No,
away.
that really did surprise me. And
I do. Bitbot gave me permission to give to mention some of the cameos, because maybe you missed it, because there's a lot of background cameos. There's a scene where one of the characters is in hell in the book, and in the background, it's a kind of thing that I loved writing, because in the background you have like Guar playing in hell. Guar's in hell playing poker, right?
Yeah, that's right. I forgot. I did miss that.
And then in the far background, you see Samara Weaving's character from Guns Akimbo.
Oh, no kidding.
And she's like in a fist fight with the Pope.
Well, like we were saying, there's a lot going on with the art. I mean, there's a lot of detail.
I love that. I grew up with like Mad Magazine was probably the most influential art-wise, like comedy and art-wise.
Sure.
Where you would read Mad Magazine and there's a lot of, the fold-in.
Yeah.
A lot of creative stuff like the back cover fold-in and little jokes in between the lines.
Yeah.
And so that's something I've always wanted to do.
Well, you nailed it.
Thanks, man.
You got a ton of stuff in there. How long is it again? I forgot to.
It's 80 pages.
80 pages. Okay, so it was a good read. It was, like I said, I mean, it's a lot to read too. There's a lot of dialogue in there, which is great.
That's not me. That's not my fault.
Oh, please. I love that though. I really do. I like the fact that I'm sitting down. Especially if I spend money on it, I want to know that I'm going to spend some time with it. And when you've got detailed artwork and color that really pops, and your lettering really makes the story roll, and then you got dialogue that just keeps going, it's good. It's a good bang for your buck, and I like that kind of thing.
Shout out to Josh and Bitbot Media for putting this team together.
Yeah, man.
Shout out to them for keeping me on the team as a kind of a newbie to this genre, this industry. It's cool that I get to do stuff like this beyond like comic book podcasts and radio shows.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And I'll tell you this too. This is the funny thing. I don't know if you'd heard this. It's something that's been cropping up recently, especially with the smaller publishers. Horror comics are a guaranteed sale, and no one's really sure exactly why that is. I don't know where my music disappeared to here, but it seems like it's reaching an audience that doesn't necessarily pick up comics, and horror's got it's got your built-in audience of horror, and then you got your comic book people. So if you mash the two together, you got a bigger audience. And then particularly with the smaller publishers that do, say, one-shot horror books, they'll see them sell fairly well. I don't know if you had heard that.
No.
So I heard, this is about a year or two ago, when someone told me, and one of the publishers told me that. They're like, yeah, we're going to do a horror comic because, well, it sells. I'm like, really? When did that start?
I hope so.
And yeah, well, here you go. You've got horror, you've got metal, you've got Deathgasm. I mean, that's a triumvirate right there. And then you guys will be superstars after that. So
sounds good to me.
All right, so we got all this rolling out. What else are you working on?
So I just produced a micro budget movie called Screamwalkers, which is, the whole concept is that it looks like it was shot in the 90s. It's shot on video, so it's shot on VHS. And it looks like something that was never released or never found before. me and my buddies, we grew up doing sketch comedy in the 90s where we shot everything on VHS. So we wanted to shoot a movie just like that. And director Sean Q. King came up with this concept. It's like Scream meets Scream. What's it? Skinwalkers? No. But it's pretty cool. The whole idea behind it of like something shot on VHS.
Okay.
For a lot of kids, they don't know what that looks like.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of foreign to them. And it's not TikTok. It's not YouTube. It looks like 90s video store, mom and pop video store horror.
Okay.
So check that out. Screamwalkers. It's streaming on an app called Fossum, and you can pick it up on VHS and Blu-ray and DVD.
You pick it up on VHS, really?
You can. There's like a niche group of people who are collecting physical media.
Well, yeah.
That's where Sean King, like, that's where his love of that genre comes from.
Yeah. I highly recommend it if you haven't been there. It's in Bridgeport right now, and I hear they're going to move, but that's where they have the archive, and they sell all this kind of physical media of stuff like this.
It's awesome.
Yeah. Because if you want your DVDs now, you get them now. I mean, I know the DVDs are supposedly going to die off, but I don't know what they're going to move to next, because mini disc was like 25 years ago. No one cares about that. So.
Yeah. And streaming makes things so like forgettable.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's like you're not really experiencing anything. I still go to the movie theaters.
Yeah.
I saw an amazing movie last week, The Monkey, which is a splatter horror comedy, and I enjoyed every single minute of The Monkey.
Okay.
It's from the guy who made Long Legs, and it's a horror comedy. I was howling out loud.
No kidding.
Because I'm a sick guy.
I've heard of it, and I know it was out there. I just didn't realize it was still out there.
Check it out. Yeah, it's hilarious.
Okay.
Intentionally, because like a lot of people didn't know it was a comedy. Because they were like, a lot of people I spoke to about it were like, I had no idea it was a comedy. Even people who were sitting next to me in the theater were like, I had no idea it was going to be a comedy.
I haven't even seen The Substance yet, and I hear good things about the weird ending to that. So
see, splatter gore is in in right now. Mm-hmm. That like Demi Moore is doing splatter movies herself, and she was nominated for an Oscar for it.
Exactly. I mean, things are changing.
All the same genre. We're all Deathgasm is in there too.
Not quite in the same budgetary constrictions of The Substance, but I'll say this again. I mean,
oceans of blood, though. Oceans of blood,
and so much fun. I would put that in my collection very quickly because I just enjoyed it so much. And
nice.
Yeah, and we'll see where. When this graphic novel gets its crowdfund going, its Kickstarter going, and
keep an eye out. It should be in the spring, early summer.
And we're not that far away, so.
But that's the way to get the book in your hands, is to contribute to the Kickstarter.
Yes, absolutely, and then and support everybody that's doing it too, because it's just the way to do it. And Kickstarter is a great way. Crowdfunding is a great way to support the artists and the creators that are doing these things. I really do think that.
100%.
Yeah. Hey, Peter, it's been fun having you on here.
I had fun.
Yeah, talking some gore and some deathgasm. And
that title is still hard to say, right?
But that's kind of what sold me on the whole thing. I mean, anytime you say something weird and obnoxious like that, yeah, I'm interested.
And say it with a New Zealand accent.
Oh, well.
It's even more charming.
It is, too. It is. And we'll see. I was trying to turn my boss at work onto it too, because he likes weird, irreverent stuff like that.
Watch it, boss. Watch it.
I hope you do. All right, we got to wind up Pint O Comics here because Uncle John and Dead Air. Guess what? Yeah, following a metal show up with the Grateful Dead, the live Grateful Dead show, the greatest live Grateful Dead show on the East Coast with Uncle John. He's sitting over there coughing and waving at me like with a couple of individual fingers. So, Peter, it was great to have you on. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Check out Deathgasm 1.5 Director's Cut, coming soon to Kickstarter, because it's that much fun. All right, this has been Pint O Comics. We're going to get out of here. Say goodbye, Peter.
Bye, Peter.
See you, folks. Next week I am off. I will be in Wisconsin with Gary Kahn and DJ Cheshire Cat. But I do have a show for you, and you'll be enjoying that while I'm away.